The movie begins in 1942, during World War II, in French Morocco. Wing Commander Max Vautan, a Royal Canadian Air Force pilot on a mission, parachutes into the desert. Several European countries, including France, is under German occupation. Max is assigned to run a covert operation to kill several German leaders and officers. He keeps walking until a car finally comes to pick him up. He meets a driver who supplies him with luggage, a wedding ring, a weapon, and false documents. The driver tells Max that the woman he is to meet will be wearing a purple dress. Max arrives at a club in Casablanca. He finds the woman, a French resistance fighter, Marianne Beausjeur. She instantly knows who he is and excitedly greets him with a kiss. She introduces Max to all her friends and lies that her husband is a phosphate mining entrepreneur. Max then asks her to come home because they have not seen each other for months. As Max drives her back to her apartment, he praises Marianne's acting as a wife who loves her husband. He also wonders why Marianne survived the previous covert operation when her entire circuit was killed in Paris. Marianne tells him that the secret to her success was that she made her feelings seem real and made everyone believe in her. Marianne also compliments Max on making a convincing appearance. Still, she criticizes his terrible Parisian accent because, in 10 days, they will be attending a party in Paris with German leaders. She also gives Max the nickname La Québécois, meaning the guy from Quebec, because his French accent isn't good enough. Max and Marianne's mission is to kill the Nazi ambassador. They must continue to pose as a married couple by living together and trying to make their charade convincing in preparation for their mission to assassinate the German ambassador during his upcoming party. However, Max still needs to secure an invitation, so she promises to acquire one from the ambassador's liaison Herr Hobart. After he rests on the roof, Marianne checks up on him. They continue to act like a couple as a curious neighbor, whose husband is a German tank captain, watches them. Amidst their conversation, he tells her he wants to retire on a ranch and live peacefully after the war ends. The following day, she teaches him to appear and sound more Parisian. She prepares him for a day outside with expensive clothes and a necklace with a cross to symbolize his Catholic faith. During their conversation, he mentions a mutual friend in Guy Sangster, a British pilot Marianne saved in Dieppe in 1941. They go to a cafe, and he recognizes a German officer from Abwehr, who interrogated him back in Marseille. Fearing he may be compromised, he follows him to a booth and chokes him to death as he phones his superiors. Later that night, after mingling with some German friends, Marianne and Max always chat on the rooftop every night to show their neighbors that they are husband and wife. Marianne tells Max that the failure of the previous operation in Paris was because the V section did not send help for them, so their entire circuit was killed while she managed to escape. The next day, the couple discusses their plans on a makeshift shooting range by the cliffs. She mentions that the ambassador will arrive at the party at precisely 8:30 p.m., which will only give them a small amount of time to kill him before a diversion attack happens 5 minutes later. Max resists Marianne's sincere advances for a while, and they get more acquainted with each other. They both agree that feelings can get people killed in their line of work. A day before the assassination, they meet with Herr Hobart, who indulges Max in a poker game when Marianne mentions that he is obsessed with it. Hobart insists Max attend the party, but Max pretends he would rather play poker. Hobart challenges him to split a deck of cards. If he gets the low card, he must come to the party. Max expertly shuffles the deck and picks the low card, the outcome he desires. He then asks him to write down the chemical formula of phosphate, which he does and leads to his being allowed at the party. Later, the two spend their time together, watching the sunset on the sandy dunes, knowing they might not survive the mission, when Max asks Marianne about her dream place. Marianne says it doesn't matter where she goes after the war. They take the opportunity to get intimate inside the car in the middle of a sandstorm. Soon, the two attend the party with multiple Nazi officials present. The ambassador is late as it is 8:30. After chatting with Hobart, they position themselves behind the champagne table, hidden underneath their guns, as the ambassador delivers a rousing speech. As soon as he speaks, a large explosion is outside their planned distraction. The couple flips the table, grabs their guns, and executes the ambassador on the stairway while killing the German soldiers, including Hobart. Marianne kills one German when he tries to shoot her, and she hesitates to kill his wife, with who she pretended to be friends before, until Max pulls her away. They make a hasty exit as alarms go off. While on the run, he asks her to come with him to London and be his wife for real. 3 weeks later, in London, Max receives the good news from his commander, Frank Heslop, that Marianne is granted permission to settle in England after reviewing her past achievement in the war. Max is happiest because he can finally marry the woman he loves. They finally get married and celebrate with the Allied forces, including Heslop and his sister Bridget Vaden. Surprisingly, Marianne also reveals her pregnancy during the celebration. An air raid takes place over London. Marianne is in labor and is evacuated from the hospital as bombs drop. Max stands by her side, and Marianne gives birth in the hospital courtyard to a baby girl that they name Anna. After a year, Max and Marianne have grown accustomed to their life as a family. The couple settled in Hampstead, London. Marianne tells Max that she organized a party for him to celebrate his victories after dropping Anna off at a nanny's house and picking up mushrooms. Max is summoned immediately back into the office to meet with a commanding officer, Frank Heslop, and a special operations executive official. They inform Max that Marianne is suspected of being a German spy. The real Marianne Bosger had been killed, and a German spy, who they suspect to be Max's wife, took the dead woman's identity. Max learns that Hobart was a dissident and Hitler had wanted him dead. The officer orders Max to test Marianne's loyalty, a blue dye operation, or both of them will be shot. Max is ordered to write down a piece of false intelligence at home after a scheduled phone call where Marianne can find it. Suppose the information is picked up from intercepted German transmissions. In that case, Max must personally execute her, and if he is found to be an accomplice, he will be hanged for high treason. They also instruct him to act normally and not conduct his investigation. Max is infuriated that they question his wife's loyalty, but agrees to cooperate until he decides to investigate the truth on his own, determined to prove them all wrong. Back at home, all is well, and he sees nothing out of the ordinary from Marianne as she does her usual routines. He anxiously picks up the phone call he was instructed to receive but gets distracted by his wife. He then writes down the information and proceeds to get intimate with her. He stays awake all night, filled with guilt and doubt. The following day, he makes an excuse to leave. He visits his sister to invite her to the party while revealing the operation on Marianne. Then he decides to see Guy Sangster at a nearby hospital. However, he is blinded by a dangerous military operation they both took part in a few years back. He cannot confirm her identity, though he still blames him for his predicament. He reveals that resistance fighter Paul de Lamar, who worked with Marianne in France, is still alive and can identify her. At the air base, Max finds a nervous young pilot, Adam Hunter, who is about to make a trip to Dieppe for the first time. He gives him a photograph with a classified note asking if the woman in the photo is Marianne Bosger and instructs him to obtain a yes or no answer from the one-armed de Lama. The party goes on at Max and Marianne's home. Max sees a suspicious man with a pipe briefly talking to Marianne. She tells him that Lombard is a jeweler trying to sell her a diamond brooch. He runs after him suspiciously but is convinced that the man is just looking to sell. In the middle of the party, Frank tells Max that he has disobeyed orders and caused their plane to be shot down by the enemy because one of the young soldiers waited too long for an answer from a drunk. During the party, an air raid occurs. A German plane is shot down and appears to be going to crash into their apartment. Max runs upstairs to get Anna, but Marianne already has her. He protects them as the plane narrowly misses and crashes in a field behind their house. Shaken by the experience, Marianne pleads with him to spend the whole day as a family. They go out for a hearty picnic close to the fallen German aircraft. Later, however, he packs up his things, kisses Marianne goodbye, and leaves to continue his search for the truth. The next evening, Max takes the place of a Lysander pilot and flies to France to meet Paul, who is being held at the local police station. Max and the local resistance break into the downtown jail, but Paul is drunk and unconvincingly verifies the picture. The delay gives the French police officer room to alert the Germans, whom Max and the resistance manage to defeat. Before leaving, he shows Paul the picture of Marianne and asks if he knows who she is. Marianne Paul's answers confirm her identity until he mentions that she played the French Marseillaise on the piano like a goddess right before the Germans when he saw her. Back in England, Max demands that Marianne go with him. He takes her to a pub where he tells her to play the piano and the French song La Marseillaise that Paul had mentioned. After hesitating, Marianne closes the piano, as she knows the story. She starts crying as she didn't think the Germans would find her in England. But they did and threatened to harm Anna if Marianne didn't spy for them. She admits she sent the message last night and has been forced to spy for the Germans. Max is furious, but he asks her if she loves him. Marianne says that she does love him and the life they have together. Unwilling to kill her, Max tells her they must flee the country. He kills the nanny and a jeweler who were her handlers. They go to an airfield where Max tries to get a plane started, but Frank and other soldiers arrive. Frank confronts Max and prepares to take him in for treason. Marianne gently sets Anna down in the backseat and takes a gun from the glove compartment. She gets out of the car and tells Max, "I love you, my Québécois" in French, and to take care of Anna. She turns her back and shoots herself in the head. Max takes his jacket off and covers Marianne's body. Frank orders the other soldiers to report that Max killed Marianne with his hand. During a stormy night in their home, Marianne had anticipated that she might be unable to live another day, So she prepared a letter for Anna to read when she was all grown up. She writes about how she loved her Max and their year together in London. The movie ends after the war, with an older Max and a teenage Anna walking through the field of their ranch, which had always been what he wanted to do after the war. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.